What it mean to be the best? Riding foes, feeling unimpressed. Make me reminisce, throwing bows, bend the corner, set my mind up on a goal. All I know is stay down, bad, I'm the goal. Okay, feel like the best, the great. Now ain't no debate. Yeah. Okay, feel like the best, the great. Now ain't no debate. Yeah. I ain't gotta say much. Know the boy got a touch. Another win for the rush. Another win for the rush. See me once and got a crush. See you twice and that's enough. Get the ring sized up.
Welcome in to another episode of Tell the Truth. The Kansas City Chiefs are no longer undefeated for the first time.
Losers.
We still gonna hit that DG.
Losers this week.
Losers.
Hey, we won some money, okay?
We did.
So I'm leaving here with something.
Sweet.
Okay, I'm leaving here with something.
What Denzel said.
The one,
the
1 week we sweep the trifecta.
We finally get all the plays right, and now we can't win. Dang it, fellas.
Good thing we didn't get our Chiefs money line.
I tell you, hey, we ain't put no money line on that one. Okay. Oh man, love to see it. But yeah, so the Chiefs are on to Carolina after disappointing loss in Buffalo, in which I think the Chiefs have learned a few things about themselves. First and foremost, I'm DMac, DG, CJ. How you guys doing tonight, man?
Doing good, man. Doing good.
God is great, brother. God is great.
Forgot what it felt like to lose. So
man, it's been since Christmas. We almost went a full calendar year. We were this close. Almost went a whole year.
Just a month away, man. It was very close. To your point, I think that it was on both sides of the ball in which the Chiefs did have a stark reminder of what it feels like to lose those games. And obviously, Chiefs Twitter is out of practice as far as losing games and being able to react to it in a reasonable manner.
They had a year off, man. You know, you got to give them some time. You know what I'm saying?
Hey, I'll tell you what, they ain't need no time to jump back into the deep end. Woo-wee, I done seen some takes, baby.
Boy.
I didn't see Lad McConkey costing Super Bowls. I didn't see you bring back Eric Bieniemy, dog. Woo-wee.
Oh, that's the first thing. Anytime we lose, the OC is always the first one to blame. Nagy, Bieniemy, that's always the first.
I saw a Connor Embry screenshot today. Oh man,
boy, oh boy.
I heard it. Go ahead.
I was gonna say right back to where we was. Around November, December last year.
Last year, same thing, bro. We do this every year. Right on ticket, right on time.
I seen a bring J.C. Jackson in screenshot. That was
that's disgusting. I saw that too. That's Jesus Lord. I know y'all desperate. Y'all want change, but if you ever in your life tell me you want J.C. Jackson on your football team, don't ever activate your Twitter again. Matter of fact, delete your account right now. I'm not playing with you. Don't ever say that. Don't sound like ever again. Please don't. If I catch one of y'all saying some stupid like that, boy, go ahead, D-Man.
A lot of great things. This is going a little bit different than necessarily our previous shows, because our previous shows have kind of been on the premise that the Chiefs continue to win and we can kind of do like a full team review. I think it's more specific here to talk about the lessons that, hopefully the Chiefs have learned as a result of the loss in Buffalo, where I do think there are some. Just to get it out of the way, though, and I'll let you guys give your thoughts on the overall game. I want to tip my cap to the Buffalo Bills, similar to the Broncos, specifically on defense for that game. But the Bills did a really good job at just being able to exploit some of those holes. The Chiefs did a good job versus the run game of the Bills. Josh Allen was able to create enough plays on the ground with his legs like he always does versus the Chiefs, and obviously the 4th and 2 backbreaker for the touchdown to end the game. But just in general throughout the day, he was able to. And through the air, obviously, he made some really tough throws and was able to create yards over the top and beat the Chiefs defense from that aspect as well. Chiefs offense, they had 2 good scoring drives, really 3 good scoring drives. That was not enough. They needed more of that, and they were inconsistent as well. The Bills had a good game plan to make it difficult. They copied a lot of what the man coverage looks that the Broncos brought over. They brought them over as well, had some plastering as far as keeping Mahomes in the pocket as well. So got to tip your cap, in my opinion, even though we could have to get into the discussion about, this is not the playoff game plan for the Chiefs. I think that there are ways in which they were feeling some things out and certainly learning some things, but it is also worth saying the Bills did flat out beat us, and you got to tip your cap to them on Sundays. How do you guys feel about overall the game and the Chiefs' first loss of the season?
Go ahead, Steve.
I mean, going into the game, we pretty much knew what we had to do. Keep Josh Allen in the pocket. We didn't do that. Get off the field on third down. We didn't do that. Connect on the deep ball. We didn't do that. So all the things that we've been wanting to see this team do and create or correct their mistakes, they didn't do on Sunday. And even that being said, they still had a chance to win the football game. So not really overall mad about the outcome. A lot of things that happened are things that we pretty much knew if they don't do those one of the three things I just mentioned, they would go home with an L. It is what it is. Being undefeated is overrated. So I kind of get what Patrick was saying. It was never really the ultimate goal. I never really talked about it respectfully, to be honest. It was just a fun thing to say. But from a football standpoint, I would have loved to see the things that I wanted to see them do. They didn't really do at a high level. Kareem Hunt getting 15 touches. If this is a must-win playoff game, he's getting 20. I'm not worried about that. That's an easy switch. Travis Kelce finishing the game with 2 catches. If this is a playoff game, that's not happening. Juju Smith-Schuster, I think, only had 1 catch in the whole game. I think D-Hop had 2 or 3. None of those 3 players are going to have less than – if that's a January football game, all 3 of those guys have at least 4 or 5 catches. Not even a debate. Kareem Hunt has 20-plus touches. We lost time of possession, which we haven't done all year. We didn't contain Josh Allen better than most of the things we should. The way we ran our offense in the second half on that second to last drive, where we were like aggressive in our tempo, that's the way we should have started the game, which we didn't. So you could just tell like they're just not as locked in and laser focused as they are on the offensive end compared to where we would be in a January football game. So, and it kind of sucks. I know fans hate hearing this, but when you've played in so many big games, you're not going to treat every game the same. We got to be realistic. The way you call a November football game, the way you call a January football game are not going to be the same thing. I'm not going to tip my hand and give you everything that I want you to do, give you the answer to the test when I know I'm going to see you here in the next 2 months. So it's just no point of really giving your whole hand to the offense. Now, that being said, could they have still won a football game? Absolutely. Made some plays here, a missed block here, break a tackle, make a throw, make a catch here. All the things they could have done to win the football game definitely could have been done. But overall, I could just tell the way they were calling the game is not as an aggressive play style they would in January. So I guess maybe people call that a loser mentality, something not to do. But when you played in so many big games we have for the last 6 years, they don't treat every game the same. I know people may not want to hear that, but it's the God's honest truth. So I could just tell by the play calling and the way they were getting guys involved. It's not the thing they would do in a must-win game, a win or go home scenario. So I'm not really upset, not pissed. All the mistakes we made are easily fixable. The biggest thing, the mistakes would be rushing. And I think a lot of our blitzes that we got home, we just didn't get there. They were off by like 1 tick. And like DG said in our last episode, that's Josh Allen. Anytime you blitz him or Lamar, you don't rush to sack them. You rush to get them in the pocket, to keep them in there. And I think we did that a little bit too often in this game. And maybe our blitzes just didn't get home. And you got to give credit to the Bills O-line. They picked it up. They were ready. They were prepared. We played them 10 times in the last, 4 years. They know us, and we know them. So not really much to take away. Everything they did, I pretty much expected. There were a lot of calls that could have went either way, but we don't really complain about calls. So just got to go out there and win. So I'm ready for next week. Get it over with, refocus, put everything back in perspective. Human nature gets you back on track. So I'm ready to go. Get ready for next week.
Yeah. You got beat.
It is what it is.
You just, as plain as simple as I can put it. Yeah. Sometimes there are teams in this league that match up, very well against you, and you got beat. I won't say you got out coach necessarily, but I will say that they had a better game plan than you at this point. And that's to be expected, especially from a Sean McDermott team. He's been a coach in this league for however long for a reason, at this point. So I do think that they took some key things that, Sean Payton and them had done the week before, especially defensively, and just kind of applied them to this week, and they executed at a very, very high level. And I'm not surprised by that at all. The Bills are a very good team. They're 9-2 now, 8-2, 9-2, whatever. But they have that record for a reason. So I think the main frustration that I take away from this game is that the defensive line, rush lane integrity just was not there. I'll say that there was a lot of times where I was in my mind screaming at 56 George Karlaftis for over pursuing, getting too far up the field. There was a time where he spun back into the middle of the pocket to try to go for a sack, and of course, Josh Allen being who he is and the kind of player that he is, you just can't do that. When you play against a guy like him, you got to keep your integrity. You got to keep your contained. Um, and it comes down to a point where it's not necessarily just about sacking him. It's just about containing him to the pocket, allowing him to try to beat you with his arm, and just seeing if he makes a mistake. There were a couple of times in that game he did make a mistake. So you were able to get a turnover, force him into that, or whatever, which is something he hasn't done a lot this year. He's been doing a lot better job of taking care of the ball this year. Um, but you were able to get to him on that play. So I just think the Chiefs probably did learn a lot from this game of what not to do anymore, and how to kind of approach this game if they run into this team again in January at some point. Offensively, I think I I want to say I don't think the offensive line was as bad as people try to make it out to seem. Um, do I think they played well? No, but at the same time, I agree to your point, DMac, that um, these receivers they got to step up, start getting open. Um, I understand if there are things that you struggle with at points and times, but you've been playing in this game for however long. If you can't beat man to man at this point and get separation, at this point, I don't know what to tell you. Um, so that's just as simple as I can put it. I just think we didn't play very good complementary football. There were points and times where the defense did their job and the offense stalled out and didn't do their job, and then the offense did their job, and of course the defense at the end of the game is probably pretty gassed and gives up a touchdown to Josh Allen, pretty much ran us over for about a good 25 yards. So yeah, tackling was also pretty bad. It's first game I've seen this year where the tackling, especially in open space. Martin Connor had a couple horrible missed tackles in open space. Yeah, so all in all, man, they just play better than you. You just gotta tip your cap and take your L, learn your lessons, go home, and just learn from them. Move on to next week and play the Carolina Panthers.
Yeah, and I think that you guys kind of hit the nail on the head. They were multi-layered failures, for lack of a better term. And I think that is actually fair to say that they did get out coach. I think that Sean McDermott on the defensive end of the ball had a really good game plan. I think, don't let his name escape me because it just jumped out of my head. It's not Joe Barry. It's
Joe
Brady.
Joe Brady, thank you. Joe Brady had a really good game plan on offense as well to attack the ways in which the Chiefs were weak. Being able to give enough attention to Chris Jones, being able to attack to be able to attack the secondary in middle of the field or versus Najee Johnson, et cetera, to move the ball from that standpoint. So I think that they did a good job on both ends of the ball, or I should say on both sides of the ball execution-wise, but also putting their players in the right positions to succeed as well. Again, just got to tip your cap to what is a really good team over there with a great quarterback as well in Josh Allen. So, like I said, I think it's better to kind of look at some of those lessons to be learned from that standpoint. And maybe we'll find a way to kind of work the offensive line into this because that was one thing I didn't have included, but I'm glad you mentioned DG as well. Starting as far as the offense is concerned, though, kind of talking about which portion was more disappointing to you kind of going into this game. From my personal perspective, I think it kind of breaks down to the running game was generally fine. They obviously failed that 3rd and 1 that was at midfield and weren't able to get that done. You want to see them convert on that. I think there's probably a minor discussion to be had about that specific formation in those short yardage circumstances, and maybe has that necessarily kind of run its course. But also the Bills did a really good job and kind of got fortunate about blitzing into the gap that they were, attempting to go into as well. So that's part of it too. But the question I kind of have for you guys is, I think the offensive line was fine. I think we all kind of agree on that standpoint as well. I think there were opportunities to still get the job done. From your perspective, what was more disappointing? And this is kind of a holistic view. Was it the weapons? Do you feel like those secondary wide receivers didn't step up enough? Do you not think that you enough from Xavier Worthy? Do you not think that they couldn't necessarily get Juju into the game plan? Couldn't get enough opportunities to D-Hop? Or do you think it was a little bit more of Patrick Mahomes that was the more disappointing aspect of the Chiefs offense? And specifically those drives, at least for me, out of halftime, and obviously, the Patrick Mahomes interception is part of that too, to start off the game. They sent him behind the 8 ball, because that to me was where the game was lost from an offensive perspective. So let me know from you guys if you think that it was more the weapons or more Patrick Mahomes that was a disappointment for you watching the game on Sunday.
I think I think it's a combination of both. We obviously know that 15 hasn't been playing his up to his standard this year, and it's getting to a point where it's becoming real frustrating, especially early on in games. You like to get off to a good start, get off to a real fast pace, but you can't on third down try to climb the pocket and then throw a ball, try to make a play. Like, you're just doing way too much at this point. You're pressing. You clearly see some of that from him. But I think also from the playmaker's perspective, I think early on you had Xavier Worthy going. They really kind of didn't have an answer for him at that point in time. You had some shots down the field that I feel like you could take, but then it got to the second half, and I just feel like there's teams in this league that just start manning, going straight man on you, and these guys for some reason aren't getting separation. They're not getting open. And then I think a lot of it has to do with who you have on the field at points in times. You brought DeAndre Hopkins here for a reason, and he plays, I think, less snaps than Justin Watson does at this point.
That's crazy.
Especially in a game that, like you said, you brought him in here. He's a guy that you could feel like can be that guy that can beat man to man and win his one-on-one matchups or whatever. And then you play a guy who's not very good at beating man to man over him. So I understand, it's still at a point where DeAndre Hopkins is still kind of learning the playbook or whatever. And it could be a thing that, Andy and them probably just didn't want to put too much on tape because they know they probably will see this team again, sometime down the road. But, you got to go out there and execute at the end of the day, no matter what the play call is, no matter what coverage they're going to run or whatever. You got to go out there and execute, make plays, help your quarterback out at times. Xavier Worthy, drag your feet, get your feet in bounds. Cole Hardman, get open. This is a little nuanced stuff that I feel like some of these guys aren't doing at this point in time to help this team, really look complete and have, great drives, especially offensively. It's getting frustrating.
Absolutely. From a defensive standpoint, obviously they gave up 30 points first time since the Super Bowl versus Philly in 2023. So that was a long streak for a long time. That's very impressive to even go that long. But overall, this is a game where your defense obviously broke down, giving up big plays on third down. 2 deep shots they took to Amari Cooper are definitely plays. I think if Jalen Watson's out there, those plays don't happen. So we got to figure out a way to get other guys more comfortable, get them more involved, and maybe if that's keeping the too high shell and forcing them to run the football more, so maybe they don't get those plays over the top. But that also goes back to our original point of keeping Josh Allen in the pocket. So from a defensive standpoint, they definitely needed the offense to pick it up this weekend. Obviously, when you start the game off with an interception, that's unacceptable. Like DG said, turnovers are starting to definitely pile up on Pat. And it's the same thing we were dealing with last year. I know it sounds good to say I'm going to be better, I'm going to fix it, which we know he will, but there's nothing you can say on a week-to-week basis that makes you feel better. So there's nothing really to – you're saying the right things, but you're not doing this. I mean, you're supposed to fix it, correct? But it's like at this point, bro, I don't want to watch a presser. I don't really care at this point. Just play better football. It is what it is. I don't really care about listening to interviews anymore. They're irrelevant to me. I just want to go watch you guys play better football and play at the level that we know they're capable of. But like I said, it's human nature. They've been playing so many big games for so many years. It's so hard to be mentally locked in and to give it your all every single game, every single week, bro. Especially even more so at any level of football, even more so in the NFL. Every other team kind of goes through these laws of wins and losses. All they've been doing is winning for almost a calendar year since Christmas of last year. So this team has obviously been on a high road for a long period of time. And when it comes to every football game, they're just not going to be as locked in as they will be for a January win or go home scenario. So from offensively, Pat turning the ball over, that's not going to happen in January. We know that. D-Hop not getting more than 4 or 5 targets, that's not going to happen in January. All the things that they did on offense to not get players involved, whether that be giving Kareem Hunt more touches, running more man beaters. I think we ran too many zone beaters, in my opinion, because I knew Buffalo was going to play man because they don't respect our receivers like they do most of the time. So that means we're going to have to run more crossers, more picks, more rubs to help guys get open, and that can dictate coverage. And another way you can dictate coverage is by running the football, which we did at a semi-rate, but then we stopped giving Kareem Hunt the football. So all the things that I wanted to see them do on offense, our formula that we ran in Buffalo in January, we did not do on Sunday. Touch-wise, scheme-wise, and from a play calling standpoint, we didn't do that on Sundays. So that's why I'm not really as mad, like I previously stated. We didn't do what we were supposed to do, like we normally do in a game plan versus a Buffalo football team. I know how that defense works. They don't stop the run very well, so you didn't run the football that much. And then once you run the football, they get beat over the top via play action because their corners and their safeties are semi-decent, but not at the level of we're used to seeing with them in the past. So, yeah, I'm not really pissed off because we really didn't do the things that I thought we would from a play calling standpoint. And I know that's Andy Nagy, whoever everybody wants to get mad about. At the end of the day, Andy gets all the play calls. He hears everything. So you can pick and choose who you want to get mad at. It's still Andy Reid's offense. So they didn't really do the play callings from a standpoint that I wanted them to do on Sunday. So I'm not really as upset. They just got to go out there and do it. So, but it's a long season. And to be honest, fellas, even if we did win that game yesterday, nobody would have cared. Nothing would have changed. We still would have had the same issues we would have had coming into this Panthers week. So we would have found a way to win the game. It would have feel good to have a win. But all the holes and nuances and things we want to see this team get better at, we still would have been saying those same things today on Tuesday night. So all the holes and all the things you want to see the team improve on are still there. Everything we want is still in front of us. This is more of a game for Buffalo than it was for us, which we already knew. So from a fan standpoint, I want to see us get better and correct the things that I know they will do when the time comes. But overall, small picture weekly, it does suck to lose and it does suck to not play good football. But it is what it is. You brush it off, you get ready for next week, and the things that they can do are very fixable. Nothing mistakes they made are uncorrectable. Containing the pocket, like DG said, better play calling, guys beating man coverage, like DMac said. All these things are very fixable. So that's why I'm not really as pressed about this issue right now compared to where we'll be in a month and a half from now. So.
Yeah. So I mean, to circle back, I think it's a little bit. It was more Patrick Mahomes, in my opinion. The interceptions start out, put you behind the 8 ball, which when you give up the lead, that doesn't necessarily scare you off of running the ball, but that always changes some level of the game script.
Behind the sticks,
The ability to control the football, specifically at a half, really, I thought also bit them in the backside as well. And I was disappointed in them not running the ball more consistently. But I thought there were opportunities specifically in some of these third down, money down aspects in which Patrick Mahomes has been great throughout the year, in which he just wasn't. And this is one of them. This is the first third down sack. Pocket is getting a little bit muddied here. But this is one of those throws that I think that he's just got to stick into DeAndre Hopkins, and you'll be able to see it a little bit better from the end zone view. And I'll stop it when you get to it from the standpoint. But backside dig, these concepts are designed to get DeAndre Hopkins in advantageous situations. And right now, he is the guy that best is equipped to beat one-on-one coverage from a wide receiver perspective. And he's not necessarily going to beat it with the separation, but he's going to beat it where you can put this on him in an accurate window where this pocket, is enough where you can step into it and make this throw if you want to. And DeAndre Hopkins is coming open over the middle of the field right there. So those are the things where I feel like Patrick Mahomes did not necessarily take advantage of some of the opportunities that were presented to him. In addition to, we already know there were limitations as far as the actual, game plan aspect was concerned.
Pull that trigger.
Yeah, you got to let it go.
Got to pull it.
I do also have to be fair. This was kind of, I think this was a different play, I will say. This one that I wanted to bring up, because I thought this was kind of a weird thing that happened throughout. There were other weird breakdowns that did occur throughout the entirety of the game. It's not like this was all just on Patrick Mahomes. And I don't want to make it seem like it was from this standpoint. But this was specifically the concept that ended up causing the Patrick Mahomes scramble that turned into, the holding call on Wanya Morris. Xavier Worthy and DeAndre Hopkins are at the top of the screen at the same place. They obviously shouldn't be. It's probably on the rookie. He's probably the guy that's supposed to run a dig that mirrors, obviously, Travis Kelce's dig at the top of the screen as well. He just ends up settling in the same place. Long and short of it is there were failures on both sides, and I wanted to, be able to show that from that standpoint and not just say that it was on him. But I do think there were opportunities that these guys missed, whether it was Patrick Mahomes being a little bit impatient, which you did see. Some of it, I think the offensive line is given a little bit too much blame, even though I don't think it was their best game. I think they were generally fine. And specifically, there were also some issues as well. And, we'll save the discussion. I did do a stay scheming on Xavier Worthy sideline thing. I think we generally are on the same page of he should have caught the ball. The throw could have been better. I think we all agree as far as that is concerned. So that really is the long and short of it from that aspect. But please do go watch if you do want to hear about some of the connection between those two that I think as far as the deep ball passing context is important to give out from that standpoint too. So flipping the side of the ball as far as defense, I know CJ, you started talking about it a little bit as far as the points that they gave up. To me, I'll lead it off here. It really comes down because the run game was great. They were excellent as far as stopping James Cook. And I know obviously they gave up the 2 touchdowns in the red zone is what it is at that point. They did a good job in between 20s, making sure that running the ball was not the way that they were going to move the football. They got them into the long third downs that I thought were going to be important to continue to keep Josh Allen in difficult situations. Josh Allen was just great at being able to get out of those. And some of the advantages that the Chiefs or the Bills had over the Chiefs, they also took advantage of in those situations too. To me, pass rush is more disappointing. Pass rush not being able to get home in any manner, shape, or form, even when you send extra guys, but specifically without sending extra guys, put these DBs in the back end in a very difficult situation. Even when they're down Keon Coleman and Dalton Kincaid, they still have mismatches to be found out there, and not having extra help was not going to be putting you in the right position from that standpoint. I'll be interested to see if you guys necessarily disagree from that aspect, but I think this pass rush simply has to be better than what it showed. And it wasn't really good when they sent the blitz either from that aspect either.
Yeah. I know we all want to scapegoat somebody to blame. Get on Twitter and I see a lot of people talking about Najee Johnson and how bad he was, and secondary and Shamari Connor's penalty and stuff like that. When it boils down, Mike Dana and George Karlaftis have to be better.
Facts.
They just got to be better. Especially George Karlaftis. I was extremely disappointed in his performance. It just felt like there were times.
He was a backup right tackle, by the way, that should be benched.
You had a matchup that you should have dominated. You should have been more prepared for. I feel like there were times where you forgot about your integrity of what you're actually supposed to do, keeping your contained, getting way too far upfield at points in times. I understand you're trying to make a play or whatever. This is not the matchup or the game to be a hero at this point. This is for you, the matchup for you to do the right thing. And I think if you would have been able to do the right thing at that point in time, then you can be able to make some of those plays or whatever. But yeah, the pressure from the edge position is it was terrible. I have no other way to really describe it other than just disgusting. And, I know that they probably went and looked at the tape yesterday and getting back to the facility or whatever. And if I was Joe Cullen, I'd be extremely pissed at the way that defensive line performed outside of Chris Jones, who I feel like at this point in the season leads the league in almost sacks. He's been able to generate a lot of pressure, but you're not finishing as well either. And I pay you at this point. I pay you to get sacks. I pay you to finish. I pay you to be most dominant player on the field at points in times. You got to finish. So even Chris Jones, even as good as he's been in pressure win rate and stuff like that, you got to finish. You gotta help us out. We need you to be the best player on that side of the ball at this point in time. But yeah, the guys on the edge, FAU, Mike Dana, Lee Herring, all those guys, George Karlaftis, all of them, they have to be better. I think this matchup, and I know they're probably, like I said, they're probably scaling back to save a little bit for, if they see this team again in January. But Josh Uche only playing 5 snaps is
bingo.
Yeah, that's not great, especially in this matchup, especially what we've been able to see him do against the Bills and being, a part of the Patriots at one point in time. I feel like this is a team he probably knew very well. So there wasn't. I don't think there's a lot of reason for you to sit there and say that we're trying to get him more comfortable with the playbook, things of that nature, especially on third downs. Put him in, even if it's just situational lungs, use his speed. Well, the one time that they did, they were actually able to generate pressure and get Chris Jones in a one-on-one matchup or whatever, and it, of course, another almost sack that he's not able to finish, but still able to get back there, generate pressure, and you could clearly see in the snaps that Josh Uche did play, his speed off the line just is incredible. It shows. So I really feel like they probably should have played him just a little bit more. I would like to see more than 5 snaps. If we can get that up to at least double digits, especially on third downs, it'd be nice or whatever. But yeah, it just got to be better. Karlaftis has to be better. I think at this point in the season, he was almost close to double digit sacks. I think he has like 4 this year, maybe. You know, so yeah, I'm sorry, man. We pay you guys to be better. We drafted you to be better. You got to do it at this point. It's no excuse. Nothing else that we can say. You can't go from being, second in the league last year in sacks to being damn near bottom in the league this year. It doesn't. You don't win championships like that. So defensive line has to step up. I know they're getting the Minihue back. Of course, I know Josh Uche is gonna, obviously get a lot more comfortable. And I expect this defensive line by the time January comes to be a lot better.
Absolutely.
Yeah, and I do want to give you the example of what it looked like when you had Josh Uche next to Chris Jones, and this was I thought easily the best rush that they had with 4. And this was going 3.5 because Bolden was kind of just fine because Karlaftis ended up dropping out here. But I thought this was easily the best just straight rush snap aspect that the Chiefs end up having. And you see Chris Jones gets the easy one-on-one, the quick one-on-one win at that. And obviously he's not able to secure it, but Josh Allen also can't just exit out the front door or the back door for that matter, because Josh Uche is coming around the edge very quickly too. So, and this is on a 3rd and 9, and ends up being 3 yards short of the sticks as far as ultimately going to a 4th and 3. So that's a successful play for the defense from that aspect. And even though it is a positive scramble, that's still, one of those situations in which they're able to you create pressure on Josh Allen, which they weren't able to all day. So I agree with you, and that's really the two key members that have to get better. George Karlaftis has to be better. You have to be able to play Joshua Uche more, and Charles Minihue, hopefully you come back and plays at a representative level as he did last year. CJ, go ahead with your thoughts as far as the pass rush versus the Chiefs secondary. Who was more disappointing?
No, yeah, those are definitely the 2 guys for me. George and Mike Dana, you had great matchups. You have to win those. Obviously, we blitzed and guys didn't get home at times. I think it's a combination of both. When you do blitz, you have to get there, because Josh was never uncomfortable all night, like DG said earlier. So when you're not winning with 4, your pressure isn't getting there. There's really not much you can do from a DC standpoint when you're in Spags and the Spags position. So from a D line, you have to win your one-on-ones when you get the opportunities. When we run our stunts and we're slanting and we're twisting and we do those things where you get a matchup, you have to win. I don't care if it's a starter or a backup. We're putting you in a position to put someone else to help you win the one-on-one. So it'd be Chris eating up a double team, running a stunt to where you get a one-on-one on the outside, making the offensive line slide so you get the backup lineman on you, George. You have to win those opportunities for yourself. So and when you do those things, it makes everybody else's job easier. Now Chris is not getting double teamed as much. Now when we do blitz at home, that lineman's thinking about that stunt or that twist that he saw earlier that he may miss a block to where that blitz that we send when we send 6 or 7, now guys are getting home. So it all starts with a rush up front. If guys are doing their job, it makes everybody else's job easier, and even on the back end as well, because now they don't have to cover as long because Josh is trying to speed up his clock and he's not as comfortable, and he has to get rid of the ball quicker than he would like. So from a defensive line standpoint, they have to win their one-on-ones. I know they will. Obviously, when there's nothing more that, especially from a D-line standpoint, that pisses you off more when you know you had a good rating matchup and you didn't take advantage of it. Because now the next week, the only thing you want to do is go out there and just kill. Whether it be winning one-on-ones, do more stunts, do more twists. Or I could tell you right now, Joe Cullen's probably been never more locked in than he will be this week. because it was a bad game from their standpoint. They know it was a bad game. If we saw it on film, I know they're going to say it. Obviously, Charles Minnie, who was biting at the bit to come back, and nobody likes being called out when you play like shit, respectfully, like at any position, but even more so in a room with Chris Jones, in a room with Joe Cullen, and guys who have championship pedigree. This all, like DG said, you were second in the league in sacks. Now you're at the bottom. This is the same group we brought back last year. Couple tweaks here and there, but overall, it's the same guys. There's no way you go from 2 to the bottom of the league. If you go from like 2 to like 12, I would understand. But you're like bottom of the league, meaning you're the same group last year, and basically saying last year or the past 2 years have been a fluke. So when you hear those things in the meeting room and they say those numbers in front of you and you watch the film, there's nothing you can say. There's no choice but to get better. There's no choice but to look yourself in the mirror and say, hey, I have to go out there and execute. There's no excuses. You're the same talented group you were last year. So not like you can't do it. That's why I'm not as frustrated, because I've seen y'all do it on the biggest levels, on the biggest stages against some of the best offensive lines in the league. So I know you can do it. It's just a matter, like I said, of human nature and being locked in at all times and giving you 100% your best, no matter who's on the field that you're going against. So guys have to be better. I know they'll be better. The next 2 weeks will be crucial. 2 great matchups for you to go in and hone in on your skills when you play Carolina. And then obviously we play the Raiders after that. So 2 great opportunities for us to go out there and really show, are they going to apply that learning that DG said earlier and apply it to the next 2 weeks and see how you get better and see how you improve. So I'm excited to see what they do this week. I expect to see a very, very pissed off football team playing Sunday for sure. But I definitely expect those guys to be better. Definitely from the edge perspective for sure.
Yeah, we'll see. I want to see them play with better edge, and I want to see them play, with those lessons learned. They're gonna have to prove it to me as far as the regular season is concerned. I'm not concerned about them in the playoffs and what it's going to look like. I truly am not. They'll have to prove it to me, because they can go out there and lay another dud against a bad team. I wouldn't be surprised, because they have these games during the regular season. I hope it doesn't end up happening on Sunday from that perspective. But thought it was good to kind of talk out some of those lessons from that standpoint as well. The other thing, we have to also hold all of these guys accountable. Like, there was enough blame to go around, and we'll get into it as far as the next segment is concerned specifically. But guys you paid in the offseason that I don't think a lot of people have talked about enough or necessarily criticized enough. Mike Dana, to your point, obviously we know he's been struggling with the injury, trying to come back. It's not a good showing for him on Sunday. And he wasn't able to take advantage of anything on the edge. He really hasn't provided a lot of pass rush from the standpoint of the entirety of the season. Again, we know there's some injury issues from that standpoint. And Drew Tranquil has been taking
advantage. Yeah, I was going to say the name, DMac.
Drew Tranquil has been taken advantage of consistently in the middle of the field. I know people want to point at 32, and Nick Bolton has had plenty of issues as well in coverage. But I tell you, Drew Tranquil's getting out there cooked too. He just is. As obviously we know Justin Reed has, and he's going, unfortunately, continue to be a weakness as well.
Spade to spade.
Shamari Connor has missed too many tackles as well. Brian Cook, unfortunately, has gotten hit in coverage as well. And again, we'll talk about the corners too. But you got to be even opportunity criticism across the board as far as that's concerned. And Drew Tranquil and Mike Dana, 2 guys you paid in the offseason, are a part of that from the standpoint. They have not played up to the standard in which earned them contracts last year, absolutely to this point. Do you have anything to add on that?
Drew's been bad. Sorry. Drew has been, especially in coverage, which is I thought was a strength in his game.
It was a calling card.
Yeah. I don't know, and I think you kind of spoke to it the other day in the space, man, where you say you think he may have bulked up a little bit to take on that role more of what kind of Willie Gay did the previous year, and then being able to play a lot more snaps at this point in time. But yeah, I don't know. I'm at a point where you're a veteran, like you've been in this league for a long time, man. Like, and we paid you to do your job, and you're not doing it at a very high level. I know a lot of people want to point the fingers. Najee Johnson got a lot of hate on Twitter, and I will say my thoughts go out to him at this point in time. I want him to keep fighting, keep battling, or whatever. I don't think he was as bad as people thought he really was. I think there was a lot of times where he was in, really good position, just better plays by better receivers at that point. But I just have higher expectations for guys who've been in the league a lot longer at this point and should know this defense inside and out. And there's been times where I've seen Drew be in the wrong spot or miscommunication between him and a corner or something like, like it has to get fixed. You can't be a leader on this team, a leader on that side of the ball, and be out there costing your team, with mental errors like that. So I need 23 to really step it up and be a lot better, especially as being a veteran, being a leader on that side of the ball.
Yeah, absolutely. To your point, like you said, I think that he's bulked up a little bit to try and play that Willie Gay role, a little bit more physicality in the run. Ultimately, I don't think it's helped him all that much in the run, and I think it significantly harmed him to this point in the past. So we'll see if that continues to get better over the last course of the season. It may not. Still, this defense, I think, operates at what is a relatively high level, even so, especially when they make teams play essentially one-dimensional because of their ability to take the run game away. So we'll talk a little bit about, overall from that standpoint, but I did want to spend some time here because it has gotten a lot of talk as far as Nazeeh Johnson and the game that he specifically had on Sunday. And obviously the tweet circling around about what has been credited to him as far as PFF is concerned. And, they have their own way of doing those certain things, but I wanted to go through and see it myself and see if I was kind of crazy. So we're just going to go through all the targets that Nazeeh Johnson got, and we're going to talk this out, all three of us, and figure out if we think that he gave up what I think it was 109 yards on 9 receptions from the standpoint. Now, there are 2 easy ones. Well, there are a few easy ones, but there are 2 easy ones. We saw them. Man-to-man coverage is going to happen at the bottom of the screen. This is one of those situations where, to me, you just got to tip your cap.
Yeah.
Because he's in position.
What do you do?
Next play.
Go back. Go back.
That's a catch. Next play.
What do you do? What do you do? I just want to know, in this situation, for all the people that are talking on Twitter, right? You're
on Twitter.
Man-to-man one-on-one coverage with a guy that's been a Pro Bowl receiver in this league. And I know a lot of people talk about Amari Cooper in a way that, he's had problems with drops or whatever. He's still a very good receiver in this league. I would
absolutely is.
think that people will probably still have him top 15, top 20, at some point in their list somewhere.
He's still in there.
This is just a veteran receiver doing his job in the
that's
right,
a great
way.
ball. Like, y'all know, great
ball.
Defense,
it's an excellent throw and a good catch, and there's nothing really else you could do.
Great ball, late show of the late hands, not tipping off, what you're gonna do or whatever, and just making a play for your quarterback, bro.
Next play, bro. We're not entertaining that. Next play.
So that was the first one. That was about 30 yards. This is a screen out to the left. I don't know if they counted it or not, but I got to 9, and this was one of the 9 that I got to. So that's another 1 yard you could throw on top of it. Obviously, it didn't matter anything. It's a good tackle as well for Nazeeh Johnson on the edge, and that circumstance as well. This one was a little bit kind of iffy for me, and I'll show the reverse angle too. Dawson Knox lined up tight at the top of your screen as well. Leo Chenal looks very confused on this play. I don't know if it's on Leo Chenal, but he looks very confused. Nazeeh is going to bail with the vertical route on the outside at the top of the screen as well. To me, it looks like they're playing
too late. Yeah.
To me, it looks like they're playing cover 6 with too high to the, or I should say, quarters to the bottom, top of the field. Yeah, to the top of the field, and so to me, it feels like this isn't necessarily on Nazeeh, that Leo Chenal just kind of gets caught not getting depth in his job because he's completely turned around here.
If I'm Nazeeh, I have to run like obviously that's a man that's when you're in quarters, you go with like the outside threat. So immediately the first guy coming at me is Mac Hollins. So if he's running deep, I don't just let him run by him because then Brian Cook's in a position where he's on the hash or inside the hash or at this point. So if he's going to run with him, then Brian's going to take it. But if Leo just sitting there not getting any hands on anybody, then I don't really know what he was out there to do. So if you see Dawson Knox coming at you, you got to jam, at least press and give him a second. You just standing there.
It's Leo's fault, man.
I think it's on Leo here.
Yeah,
and this is also another way in which you tip your cap to what the Bills' game plan was. They ran this specifically to Leo Chenal side and were able to create that this play that was incredibly effective. And you got to, again, tip your cap. Also a nice throw by Josh Allen from that standpoint. Nice route run by Dawson Knox, and they're able to create an explosive off of that as well. There's no pressure on.
They counted this as a. Oh
I believe they did
Yeah.
because I couldn't get to 100 yards without this catch, which I think ended up.
This wasn't even thrown on the guy he was next to. Jesus Christ. We're not.
This is why I tell people, bro.
We're not doing this.
Please, y'all have to stop listening to PFF. Y'all gotta stop listening.
They've already said they're biased. I don't give a people even pay attention. They already said they have their own grading system.
Right. No discredit to them or whatever, bro. But like, those are a bunch of guys who I swear to God, they've probably never played that many downs of football.
Probably not.
You know, and they throw all these analytical stuff at you or whatever, and tell you all these data or whatever. Like, flip the tape on. The tape,
Yes.
but the eye in the sky does not lie. And if you watch,
I try not to be that guy, DG, until like, oh, if you didn't play ball, we can have a conversation. If you can't do this, like what we're doing, and like sit down and watch film, then you can't really have that much of a strong opinion. So I kind of
I'm the person on the podcast that did not play ball. Like I didn't play ball past high school. I didn't do it.
But at least you're willing to watch. You're willing to watch.
I'm fully willing to admit it. Yeah, like this again seems like CJ said. Looks like they're playing cover 6. This is quarters to the top of the screen. This is 2 to the bottom of the screen. Najee is taking the vertical route on the outside. I think Leo just gets absolutely turned around off this play action fake.
Good question, Rick. What are we doing up front?
Getting no pressure is the answer.
Exactly.
No pressure, like we said earlier.
There's nothing. And again, this is your run base down. They send Drew Tranquil off the edge, which doesn't help you at all because he's covering the running back.
What was the action that they ran again? Was that a run action or just a sprint?
Yeah, it was like a.
It was a run.
Yeah, it was a play action.
Oh, that's what Leo got fooled. Yeah, bro.
Yeah, Leo
just looking into the backfield.
Yeah, Leo thought it was a run. He's trying to recover, bro. It's too late. You running up on the line of scrimmage like he was handing it off. Yeah, that's Leo's fault.
That's just Leo getting caught in play action. Sometimes it's going to happen. Again, that happens when you have really good play design. So that's 24 yards that you can take out of the 100 yards that they had put on Najee Johnson as well. This is the other Amari Cooper really good play to the bottom of the screen. Beats him on the slant and go, which again, excellent route.
Great ball.
And again, this is one of those things where once again, and also excellent ball by Josh Allen with while getting hit as well off the blitz. But again, tip your cap, better player one-on-one versus your guy. You rolled the dice as far as the blitz was concerned. It didn't get home in time, and he beat Najee.
And they picked it up. The O-line just picked up the blitz, man. Like we sent. I think. What did we send? Go back to that.
Can we see the sideline
1,
view
2,
again?
3, 4, 5, 6. We sent 7. So like, I don't know what more. Like you had guys. You got to get there. The blitz.
You sent everybody you possibly could send at that point, and it took
they went 0. You sent Trent. Usually one of these guys, either Trent or George, beats their block. But Ray Davis picking up Trent gave Josh that half a second before Nick hits him. That gave him time to make that throw. Usually we make that blitz and get home. That's a great job by their O-line, watching film study, knowing how they're going to pick up blitzes, and they picked it up. You sometimes, like you said, tip your cap. They made plays too. We can't make every play in the crunch. I know we want to, but sometimes other teams just made a play. And their O-line did a great job of picking up this cover 0. They did exactly what you're supposed to do. In a double move, because Amari has to get off the line. Watch. He's running a double move. You have to have time. And you during the end 0, that's the perfect call from Spags. Don't get mad at Spags for calling 0. That's the right call to do. They just picked it up correctly. Because if they miss that block by Trent or George gets off his block faster, they get home and Johnson can't make that throw. It's literally half a second off. And a perfect ball, perfect throw. Hey, man, tip your cap. It is what it is.
Go ahead, DG. What you want?
Yeah, I know people think like this is one of those routes, especially for a guy like Najee Johnson, who I want to say was a safety as well before. So him switching.
Very hard to do.
Go ahead. I know because I'm going to piggyback off the point when you say it.
When you put a guy in a position that he hasn't probably played a lot of and is not normally used to playing the certain things that you see at a cornerback, and you put him on an island by himself. This is obviously a blitz pickup. Yeah, like I said, on a guy that's been a Pro Bowl receiver in this.
Not versus a scrub, not somebody that got
one of the best route runners. Not a Curtis Samuel, not a whoever else they had out there.
Sluggo got him.
Yeah, like but look at the recovery on this. Most guys, most corners in this league are torched on that route.
Bro, Amari Cooper is a professional route runner. Stop. I don't get why do y'all get so mad when professionals do their job? I know, like DG said, we troll Amari Cooper. Amari Cooper he's all, in my opinion, I don't know about y'all, he's always been a top 5 route runner for me. Not receiver, just strictly route running. He's always been top 5 for me because he does stuff like this. He beats man coverage consistently. Now, his hands are inconsistent, but from a route running standpoint, there's not 5 people better in the league than me, in my opinion, than Amari Cooper. He's always been in that conversation.
Yeah,
and again, Keenan Allen, Cooper Kupp, Travis Kelce, Justin Jefferson, all those guys. He's always been right there. So, like, that's not a bad play. It's an all-purpose.
It's one of those things where, and again, this is why I wanted to go through this, where the previous play, that's where, and I joked about it on Twitter, Nazi Johnson, we need some DBs to go back at fans. This is where, look at the tape and tell me what defense we're in. Guess what? You're in cover 6 and he's getting that outside vertical route, and the linebacker is lost because of the play action fake. And that's not to say that it's all on Leo Chanel, but look, that's a missed responsibility, but that's credited according to PFF to Nazi Johnson. That's a mistake, and that's where the tweets goes out of control. Hey, guess what? You roll the dice, cover 0 versus Josh Allen. He got hit in the chest because nobody else got home quick enough. And it took a sluggo route with one of the best route runners in football to beat you down the field. That's a very difficult situation for him.
And if you ask me, in my opinion, it wasn't a fucking catch.
Well, that's a different conversation. I think that he had 2 hands on the ball, but again, we can get into the
conversation.
It was very close, and that's what it took to end up beating him, was a perfect scenario from that standpoint. And that's why I feel like it's important to go through all those things. Because right there, this is 55 of the yards that they put out there on the PFF graphic that was accredited to Nazi Johnson. And in my personal opinion, he did as well as you possibly can ask on that play, and it wasn't his fault on the previous play.
That's what I was gonna say. The recovery from him at least still allows Amari Cooper has to make an incredible catch on this play. I mean, the ball as well too from Josh Allen is kind of out there as well, but like, I don't know what else you do.
And again, to your point, what you were getting into, this is a guy in Nazi Johnson that was a safety that they're converting to corner, and in my opinion, is better in zone than he is in man. And there are conversations to be had of, are they going to rotate him and Joshua Williams out in certain matchups, et cetera, et cetera. And I think those are things that maybe happen down the line. But again, it's important to keep in mind and assign pertinent blame as well, because AGL is losing it in the chat. You can't send a cover 0 blitz, and it takes longer than 2.5 seconds for guys that get home. That's not what has happened. There's a reason why there are things that are called hot routes within offensive schemes. Guess what? You're not supposed to be able to run a sluggo versus cover 0 look. You're not supposed to be able to, because somebody's supposed to be hitting the quarterback before you can get the ball away. So that's one of those things where, again, tip your cap to where the Bills had a right play call, right scheme. Both of those guys made really good plays, and obviously it just didn't work out from the Chiefs' defensive perspective. But that's why I don't like the context of those things as well. This was another kind of short play. Again, really good play. Nazi and Shamar Connor, combined. I think they also. I think they assigned that to Nazi Johnson for another 4 yards there.
We're not talking about those.
This one, This one I thought was actually interesting work looking at it from a defensive perspective. That's the James Cook one. This next one to Dawson Knox is one that I thought was interesting because I wasn't necessarily sure as far as what they were running. Because Trent runs with the vertical route. Both him and Nazi are also there as well. There's no pressure for the record. we can say that again. Bolden's inside.
Got it off.
Did a good job at throwing the ball, and obviously Dawson Knox able to make the catch. I don't know exactly who has the outside assignment there.
Didn't miss the tackle.
Didn't miss the tackle. Definitely nailed down to me.
Was it single high or 2 high from that? Did I start over?
Yeah, we can take a look back at it.
So single high. Look.
I'm
it looked like cover 1 to me, but I don't know. But it could be. It looked like cover 1. Single high. You got man up top, man in the middle with Nick. Man, it looked like it could have been cover 1. So somebody has to have Dawson, whether that be like they mixed up coverage or in and out, whatever we decide to do.
Yeah, because I was going to say, I don't know if they're playing in and out. I don't know if they're playing, high low.
Exactly.
I just
you got man up top, man there, man free. Yeah, it probably could have been some type of.
It's probably some type of combo coverage on that. Off that stack, I think.
That's That's cool. You made a tackle though. Good play.
Go ahead, DG.
I'm crashing out because it's like, where does he cost you the game?
Nowhere.
Now I'm not saying, but really.
Najee Johnson, if he ever listens to this, I know you probably sitting there saying that, yeah, I could have played better. I could have done this, could have done that, blah, blah,
It ain't
blah.
all on you, bro.
That's what I'm saying. Like, I don't know where people come up with this idea that Najee Johnson cost you the game.
It's irrelevant, bro. They just pick somebody.
Like I feel like you have to have somebody to blame at this
every
point.
week.
You gotta have a
Every
scapegoat, or whatever. And it's a lot of people, especially out there, that at the beginning of the year, people didn't want Jalen Watson being CB2. Everybody was talking about, oh, we need to go get it. Need to go get a CB2. It was a lot of y'all that I remember talking trash, especially after a preseason game, how bad Jalen Watson was.
His first game action in a long time because he was getting back in conditioning tape.
So for all those people who said how bad Jalen Watson was or whatever, and the Tell the Truth crew sat up here and told you, trust the coaches, trust Dave Merritt, trust those guys. We feel like
do the same thing now, bro.
We can do the job. Trust them to do their job now. Najee Johnson did not cost you this game. It's plain and simple. If you don't believe me, flip on the tape. I'm sorry. If you're not a fan, if you're a fan and you want to sit here and tweet all this stuff out and tweet all this bad stuff out and then don't go watch tape or film or actually see the reason why we lost the game, I don't want to talk to you no more. I'm sorry. I don't want to hear anything from football.
And I so irrelevant, bro. Like,
yeah, and I do want to show it once again because it's important to, again, not be like X guy, Y guy needs to be better, etc. Because I think everybody along that defense would look themselves in the mirror and be like, I could have been better in some respect as well. But look, you sent 5 guys. Josh Allen has a pocket. He's got no pressure on him. I'm sorry. You've got one-on-ones across the board.
Ain't nobody
winning.
winning.
Somebody to win. You
Somebody
probably need
win.
2 people to win at this point. So in that, if you get
it's a glaring issue, bro. I tweeted that. I literally said, look, you want your corners and your secondary to be a lot better in the cover.
Get to the quarterback, bro.
Right. How long do you expect them to cover?
Duh.
What do you expect them to do?
It's very
defensive line. Do your job. Get to the quarterback. Make plays. 95. We paid you all this money to make plays, bro. You're one of the best defensive players on the field. Get to the quarterback, George Karlaftis. If you really want to blame people, blame the guys up front. They're the first line of defense. Do your job. It's that simple.
And all this thing about picking somebody on coverage, like, bro, after every loss, we always pick somebody. That's why the social media parts are relevant. We're having a logical conversation. Nothing Najee did for me was bad, bro. He stayed in phase. The only bad play, if you wanted to pick one, maybe the Sluggo. But like I said, you're on an island. So really nothing you
with
can do.
Amari Cooper. It's not like you're playing a scrub.
Literally one of the best route runners in the league. So there's nothing he did that was crazy to me. So I don't get any of this overhype. It's just the fan, bro. Every time we lose, we pick somebody to crash out over, whether it be a player on offense, a coach, or a defensive player. None of this is really relevant to me. Najee didn't do nothing wrong, bro. He played a good game. They just made plays, bro. Like I said, the O-line picked up a blitz, multiple of them, which, like DG just said, if we're going to send 6 or we're going to send 7 or we're going to blitz, you have to get home, bro. If we're getting one-on-ones, you have to win. We have great players up front. We were second in the league in sacks last year. I know how good this defensive line is, and the way they're not playing now is not up to their standard. When you have opportunity to make plays, you have to get there. They had backup offensive linemen. There's no excuse. It is what it is. We didn't play well. We have to recorrect and we regroup and get ready for next week. But there were plenty of opportunities for this D-line to dominate this football game. They did not do it. Not to say the secondary is not absolving any of their mistakes as well, but the D-line could have played a lot better, which would have made everybody's job in the back end 10 times easier. So I'm not absolving any one of their mistakes. Everyone could have been better, like we just said. So it's nothing to really absolve. This is just overhyped, bro. There's nothing to talk about.
And I'm actually, I don't know. I have it on some authority that may actually be Najee Johnson as well. But again, we said it might have been in and out coverage. And his point there is that he's playing to make sure that the seam route there doesn't also break out as well. And he has that outside leverage. He's got to make sure to play that top down. And again, this is a situation where you also have to tip your cap. This is a well-designed offense. It's been a well-designed offense entirely of the season. Exactly. And those are things that are designed to take advantage of zone coverage as well. And guess what? Najee Johnson comes down and makes a
tackles a tight end in open space, bro.
Great play.
I wanted all the bums that are on Twitter that talk. I want to see them make that play. I want to see them make that play. I want to see them do that at this point, at this rate. You get in the league and you do it. And until you can do that, don't say nothing else. Because that's the one reason why you're not in the league.
They called a good game plan, bro. Sometimes you gotta just tip your cap. They made good play calls, bro.
And I included
nothing to crash out over.
Yeah, and I included the shorter passes as well to show the examples where Najee Johnson is limiting yards after the catch as well, which
Tackles,
is something other people did just have some issues within the rest of this game as well. This is one of those examples where James Cook is actually shut down because Najee Johnson
Exactly. They don't talk about they only talk about the mistake. They don't talk about the plays you make.
You're not in that tweet that went viral today. You're not going to see anything about any of those plays where he stopped them short of the line of scrimmage and put this team back into a difficult 3rd and long situation. You're not going to see any of those plays as well.
They only talk about the mistakes you make.
I don't think this necessarily was attributed to Najee Johnson. This was just another example, unfortunately, of yards after catch.
Jamari Conner needs to make a tackle.
Yeah,
that's what needs to happen.
That's very simple.
And I didn't hear enough about how he played on Sunday, how many missed tackles he had.
Yeah,
and I know that he can be better. You know, it's that simple, bro. Everybody can be better on this defense.
And I truly believe everybody in that locker room after what happened on Sunday would say they look in the mirror and say we can be better across the board. And that's what I'll say I appreciate about this team, because everybody in that locker room takes accountability and says I can be better on any given play, no matter what, and works hard to do so. And that's the one thing I always will appreciate about this team. The one thing I did want to end on, of course, there was a catch after this, but we've already talked about how at least 50 of them yards, I'm sorry, is not on Najee Johnson. This is a play, obviously, that gets the most pub. This is offensive pass interference. Y'all want to talk about Chiefs get all the calls? I really don't give a damn.
That was hilarious. I was like,
Matt Collins blocked him down the field. And look, you want to get mad at Najee Johnson because he gets lost in the trash. I understand it. I get it. It's a mesh route that is going to happen in the corner sometimes. Maybe there's a chance to play this a little bit better. Matt Collins blocks him down the field. There's nothing to be done outside of that.
They didn't call nothing. That was hilarious.
So
God, that was funny.
This is indicative, and I simply wanted to go through this exercise, and I'll take it off the screen.
We get all the calls.
I wanted to go through this exercise because I feel like it's important to give context to each one of these targets, because guess what? Context doesn't go with those tweets. And we are here, hopefully, to help you guys out and be you guys a little bit smarter football fan watching base, okay? We're just trying to help you guys out from that standpoint.
Please.
So we wanted to give a little bit of context to what is a tweet that is out there that's going to put it out on Najee Johnson as well. And look, I also had a tweet earlier today that was about Carson stealing blitz pickups, and I asked Mitchell Schwartz because I didn't know for sure if that was necessarily on him. He said it wasn't on him, that it was Jawan Taylor picking up a blitz that he necessarily shouldn't have. He should have blocked the D in instead and have Carson Steele step up to the B guy.
Let him come inside.
And so that's where I could be accountable as well and learn things too. But I think it's important to be able to add context to these things, because otherwise you're just, repeating things that you see off social media. And
we don't know the calls of every game. Obviously, you watch film like this and you give at least a logical take and a logical conversation of what could or could not happen on this play. But at the end of the day, none of us as fans, we don't know the play calls outside of the players and the coaches. So
guess what? PFF don't know the play calls either.
They don't know it.
They don't.
So all we're doing is giving a logical take. I would hope it be a respectful take, but stop picking people and getting mad just because you lost the game, bro. We lost the game. It is what it is. They played better. We didn't play good enough. Just move on. But stop attacking your own players of your so-called fan of your team just because you lost the game. That's how you know how spoiled this fan base is. We haven't lost a game in almost a year, and every time we lose, we do the same thing every year. We go on the radio, we go on TV, we go on social media, we pick somebody we don't like, somebody that we're not a fan of, and we start crashing out on them just because we lost the game. And we think it's that person's sole fault of why the result, the way the game came out. Stop doing that. It is what it is. Be a grown-up, be an adult. But like I said, players really, bro, and I know we all like to interact with people, and there are a lot of great people in the community. Like we built relationships with a lot of players and their families, and they've all been grateful, and we all appreciate everything you've done. Don't go on social media after losses. I'm truly about just don't do it. Because there's nothing good for you there. It's going to be people trolling, saying disrespectful things, bums, people lying for no reason. Just don't do it. Just don't do it. Just stay to yourself, correct the mistakes, watch the film, and get better, which we know you'll do. Do not pay attention to them bums and people who don't watch football. Don't do it at all. Just a waste of your time.
I will offer the alternative message of this. I will never fault anybody for defending themselves on Twitter. I am King Petty. I'm the whole take the high word. I can be honest with you. I've taken the low word plenty of times, so I'm not afraid to say that. I understand if you want to go on social media and defend yourself. I don't blame you. At the end of the day, it don't matter as long as you don't say the wrong thing. Obviously, there's a PR aspect as well. But I know that everybody in that locker room is going to go out there tomorrow at practice in the film session and make sure that they get better. And that's
what
important.
matters.
I think this team has
all that
accountability across the board, and that's why I'm not freaking out about one loss as well.
Exactly.
Go ahead, DJ.
Madden ruined football, dog.
No, don't even get me started on Madden.
Madden ruined football.
Boy, ain't played Madden in
That
years,
broken game that don't exist.
It made a lot of those dummies that are on Twitter really think that they know the game and they know what's going on. And a lot of them think, oh, you can just insert this player here and do this there and change this guy to safety, and yeah, he's gonna play a lot better here. It don't work that way in the real world. This is real world, real life football. Okay,
You don't understand. I got questions about why don't we play Jaden Hicks instead of Shamari Connor this week, guys? They play two spectacularly different positions, and Shamari Connor's playing a position that he necessarily isn't really supposed to be playing to, but he sacrificed enough to try and learn and figure out how to do it as far as being a full-time slot corner, because his team has necessitated it after trading away Jerry Sneed and moving Trent McDuffie outside. He's taking on that challenge as well. So there's just a lot of nuance to the things in context. I just ask to have that when discussing football from that standpoint. Don't fall victim to the social media echo chamber of let's all attack one person because you lost a game for the first time.
It's irrelevant. That's all I'm gonna say. I try not to be that guy. Like say, if you don't know football, don't talk to me. But this is why I don't have conversations with too many people about football. If you can't name me all 11 positions on the field, please don't speak to me about what a player did or did not do. Like let's start there first. So yeah, I try not to get into this. I think this is all funny. This is hilarious. This is the way it is. Funny. This fan base is funny, bro. Every year.
I'll end my thing with this, man. To Najee Johnson, bro, adversity is a gift because it gives you the opportunity to prove what people think you aren't capable of. You know, so
pressure is a gift for sure.
Go out this week, bro. Attack practice.
Ball out.
Ball out. Continue to have that confidence. You're a dog, bro. You're a dog.
We know who you are, bro.
We know who you are, bro. We know you're a dog. Do your thing, 13.
Absolutely. So that being said, I think we can effectively close the page as far as that game versus the Buffalo Bills is concerned. Now, there are some, Chiefs injury types of things that have been floating around, and I'll include a little bit of discussion about the idea of Donovan Smith being signed back to the team. That has not happened. Cornell Powell did get released from the practice squad today. That is somewhat worth noting. Obviously, they did sign Tyquan Thornton to the practice squad yesterday. Patriots wide receiver that was released, that was picked, I believe, 3 picks ahead of Sky Moore as well in that 2022 draft. And speedy 6'3" guy, kind of light, still, long and lanky. We'll see how if he has any effect. Personally, I think it's just a futures thing as well. That being said, there's talk about Isaiah Pacheco, whose practice window was opened, of course. Charles Omenihu, whose practice window was opened as well. Seems like there's momentum to Pacheco specifically coming back this week. I think we all agree it's probably not expected to see a full workload, to say the least. I'm sure that they'll have some type of split with Kareem Hunt to get him ramped up and back up to speed as well. Omenihu probably maybe back next week instead of this week, but that is a 21-day window, so you expect to be back within the next 2 weeks as well from that perspective. Things down the line, we're hearing rumors about Hollywood Brown being closer and ahead of his timeline necessarily, which obviously we would love to see. Add back another dynamic weapon to this offense. There's talk about him coming back for Christmas. In my opinion, getting a few games under his belt is important. And the last one is Jalen Watson. Obviously, we talked about him a little bit early in the podcast and his impact early on in the season, which his play was at extremely high level. Matt Derrick did come out and say that given multiple surgeries that he had, that there's some pessimism about him coming back this season. So that is something maybe that we have to take into account moving forward from that aspect as well. So you guys have anything to comment as far as those injuries are concerned going into the Panthers week and just in general?
Oh, this is a cleanup week.
Yeah.
I love things like this because it helps you correct all, especially coming off of losses. Low-key perfect for real. When I looked at our schedule before the season, I was like, hey, if we do happen to drop one to the Bills, having the Panthers after that is the best thing you can ask for. Because obviously, this team is obviously not as talented as you normally see across the league. You're going to be pissed off. It really doesn't matter how talented the team is in front of you. You need to play better and execute. And like you said, we're getting guys back here right in the perfect time to open up those practice windows. We'll see if they give Pop and Omenihu some reps. It may not be like obviously a full set of snaps, but to get your get the flow, get back to getting in and out the huddle, executing, knowing how to do your procedures and normal things of that sort to get back in the flow of a game. But this is a perfect game, honestly, after a loss like that, to go out there and execute, refocus, go out there and dominate 4 quarters of football and get yourself ready to go on this playoff stretch run that we usually do this time of year. So I'm excited for this game. It's a great opportunity to go out there and get better and go out there and correct all your mistakes and do the things you saw on film and go out there and be better for sure.
Yeah. Absolutely. Go ahead, DJ.
No, what better way, to shake off a loss than going out and taking out your anger and frustration on a really bad team at this point in time, and then being able to get some guys back. I fully expect Isaiah Pacheco to be active and ready to go. I don't know how many snaps he'll probably get. They'll probably scale back on some of his snaps or whatever, but it'll be nice to be able to get him in there and get him some touches and give Kareem, a little bit of relief, especially for how well he's done, man. I would say that too, man. Shout out to Kareem Hunt, man, for the job that he's come in and done, especially off the couch. Came in prepared, ready. Has taken on everything this team and Andy Reid and that coaching staff has thrown at him at this point in time. So now getting 10 back, I think will really help with what they want to do out there, and having that 1-2 punch that's going to be virtually difficult for a lot of teams to deal with, especially going into January.
Yeah, and it's a testament to Kareem Hunt, not just his preparedness to be ready for that opportunity, but also his perseverance. There was a time in which I certainly thought it, and a lot of people thought in Chiefs Kingdom there's no way he was ever going to put on that Chiefs uniform once again. There a certain set of circumstances lined up to where the Chiefs needed him, and he was ready and willing and able, and he has taken on what is an unprecedented workload in many respects for a guy his age coming off the couch. And he's done it at an extremely high level, being able to keep this offense efficient. And he also had an explosive run, versus the Bills yesterday as well.
The only dude with more carries than Kareem Hunt since he got here, Derrick Henry. He's been getting 20-plus touches a week. He's been getting a lot of carries, bro. So shout out to Kareem. He's been a dog.
Absolutely. And he deserves his flowers from that standpoint. To your point, Chief KT, Clyde, I think we can certainly say that he's just going to be on ice for this year. And again, if you haven't watched his interview for The Pivot, well worth it, to say the least. And the things that he talked about there are definitely worth listening to as well. But no, I expect that, Clyde's going to stay on ice, and maybe there's a chance if they need him, they will make that call. But I expect with Pacheco coming back, it'll be him and Kareem Hunt kind of splitting until Pacheco gets back and ramped up as being the lead back once again. Samaje Perine doing a good job as far as a pass catching, pass down back specifically out of the backfield, in my personal opinion. And I
needs more snaps.
Yeah, I think that he does need more snaps, and I think he specifically needs to take snaps away from Carson Steele, and not because of that specific play, because again, Mitch Schwartz educated me that it wasn't necessarily on Carson Steele, but just in general, outside of short yardage opportunities, I don't think you should play him in any way, shape, or form as a true running back. I just don't think so, and that's because you should have better options moving forward from that aspect as well. And Samaje Perine proved himself to be good pass catcher. He's got a little bit of that Jet McKinnon chemistry on scrambles from Patrick Mahomes. We've seen that, in some plays as well. So I want to see that continue to foster as far as even when you get Pacheco back out there ramped up, and Kareem Hunt is still spelling him from that aspect too. So I think that's it as far as the injuries are concerned going into this game, obviously with the Panthers. Panthers, Raiders these next 2 weeks, in my opinion, obviously Raiders is back Black Friday. These are 2 important games to get yourself righted, ship going, get some of those guys ramped up. After that Black Friday game, you've got an extra kind of mini bye week where you got 2 extra days to prepare for Sunday Night Football versus the Chargers at home. That's one of those things where I want to see a significant change in the way in which their snap count, the way that they implement these guys, they start getting that stretch run, because obviously you're at the end of November, you're getting to December football at that point. How are you going to change the way that this team plays and is ready to perform as far as playoffs are concerned? That is going to be the big question for me going into that game. But as far as this Panthers game's coming up is concerned, I'm not going to go through the entire matchup thing, man. They've got opportunities to get after guys on both sides of the ball. They got to take advantage of. We'll go ahead and give X factors and game predictions from you guys Whichever one you guys want to start out as far as this game coming up is concerned.
Go ahead, DG.
Yeah, it's a bad team. You should really steer this team. But of course, it's the Chiefs. That's something we just don't do. I'll say score prediction. I'll say 27-17. You should at least beat this team by 10. At least at the max, you should at least beat them by 10. Yeah, this shouldn't be a close game at all. Not to say that the Panthers haven't been playing a lot better, especially over these last couple of weeks. Big win in Germany for them over a very bad team in the Giants as well too. But yeah, you should really be able to go out there and handle your business against a bad team like this. X factor in this game. I think this is another week where Xavier Worthy should be able to have some success. I think you should be able to carve up, the secondary as well, have some shots down the field. So I'll roll with Xavier Worthy. I think this is I think he gets his first 100-yard game this week. So
Okay. CJ, what about you? Do you want to? Did you give a score? I'm sorry, I forgot that.
I said 27-17.
Okay, got it. Go ahead.
But it'll probably be 19-13.
My take, I would want them to score. Really want them to score 30. They should go out there and score 4 touchdowns just to get back in rhythm. So I'll say my score 30 to 13. Realistic score, probably like 23 to 10. That's probably realistic.
9.
They really shouldn't score on us, but we'll see. I think X factor wise, love to see get all of our role players involved. So Justin Watson get more touches. This is a game where I wouldn't expect too much work for guys like Kelsey and D-Hop, because obviously you want to get them as much rest as possible. You don't want to overexert them, especially in a game that's not necessarily meaningless, but a game that's not really on the biggest grand scheme of things. So I want to see other guys get involved to try to take a load off those guys. So get obviously Noah Gray more touches. You can give him some reps. Justin Watson, Xavier Worthy, like DG just said, get him a touchdown on the field and make that big connection we've been waiting for. I think the last time they connected deep was the Chargers game. That's the last time we've seen them connect anything over 30 yards.
I think that we can count. I guess if you say over 30 yards, then it's a Chargers game. But I do think that we can count that Xavier Worthy catch on that very key drive, and we obviously didn't get into that specifically. But that to me, that was a good catch, though. That drive to me is more indicative or more encouraging than anything else that I saw, or I'd say more encouraging than any discouraging thing that I saw specifically on Sunday. They went out with a concerted effort on that second drive to say, we have to attack with Xavier Worthy. We know that they're going to have some man coverage looks. We know that we can have the opportunity to use his speed effectively, and they did so. And it was him that was kind of the engine of that drive to put them in position to score the touchdown. So for me, that was an incredibly important drive to see them. And I think that corner route that you saw, he was able to get off that man-to-man coverage. Him and D-Hop had a nice little, exchange there in the middle of the field. He took a hit from Taylor Rapp in his back, and he had a guy undercut him as well. Was able to concentrate on the catch and make it. So I was very encouraged by that route specifically in that drive too.
No, absolutely. So I think there's some great opportunities there. So I would love to just see get our role player guys get open. Love to see them guys make some plays this week so they can go out there and get involved, get that confidence back going. Mainly the biggest thing for me, I want to see 15 play a clean game. And I know nobody wants this more than Pat, so I'm not saying anything new. I want to see Pat go out there, have a clean game, no mistakes, no turnovers, make the correct reads, get the ball to your proper guys, check down if you have to. When you have your shots, hit them down the field. So that would probably be my biggest X factor. Just see 15 play the cleanest, best game of the season, go out there and set the tone for the rest of the year. And let's go out there and try to handle our business and try to get a win. And then score prediction, I already said that. So
I like that idea. Just play a clean game.
Game. No turnovers, no mistakes, just clean.
It sucks because I've never really liked being this guy as far as sports analyst is concerned. As far as it's a regular season, this team doesn't really care. The focus goes in and out. but that's where Patrick Mahomes is right now. And it's not the greatest of feelings from that standpoint because this team doesn't lack, or I should say, lacks the explosive plays. It needs to be so efficient in moving the ball down the field. The defense right now is down. It's, number 2 corner right now as well. They're lacking pass rush help from that standpoint too. The linebackers are having some issues in coverage. So from that standpoint, I need Mahomes to lock in now that we're into the stretch run. The calendar is flipped. We're in late November at this point. It's time to start getting things ramped up to where you're locked in for the entirety of the game and you're not having silly mistakes like that first one. That was an interception to start the game. Second one, that's basically a Hail Mary where the game's over with anyway, which I don't care about. Same way I don't care about the Jawan Taylor holding call. So in this game, I again, play a clean game. I think that the Panthers are going to try and replicate some of the game plan advantages that the Bills found as far as playing man-to-man coverage, specifically on the back end. I think they're going to put J.C. Horn on DeAndre Hopkins as much as possible and try to force the ball elsewhere as well. So I think that's going to be important for us to have a plan for it. Xavier Worthy should be a big part of that plan as they continue to try and develop him as well. Continue to be efficient in the run game. Want to see Pacheco get out there and be healthy as well. And, as far as X factor on defense, it's hard to pick one guy, but there are some opportunities that this pass rush needs to show some signs of life. Bryce Young is able to be gotten in that pocket. He's not extremely elusive. He's not a superhuman like Josh Allen. The tackles for the Carolina Panthers have been serviceable this year. I need to see, George Karlaftis and Mike Daniel make some plays on the edge. I just do. It can't just be Chris Jones creating pressures all the time. They got to find a way to win some one-on-ones on the edge. So that's my X factor, the thing that I'll probably be watching most that I need to be encouraged by. 27-13, I think the Chiefs go ahead and get out of there with a win as well. So I'm not going to be picking against the Chiefs versus the Panthers as well. Believe it or not, I've had people tell me that they think the Panthers are going to win this game, and they're serious about it too. God bless.
You should block those people. Don't talk to them.
Believe me, I wish I could. So as far as the power rankings, I think we do unfortunately have to drop the Chiefs if we're being fair here from this standpoint, even though we kept them there the entirety of the time.
Keep it a buck.
Are we putting? I assume that we're putting the Bills 1 since they did beat them and they were 2 last week, or do you want to put the Lions because they keep beating the crap out of the team?
Yeah, I gotta put the Lions 1.
Like,
I'm fine with it. I can't.
I gotta put the Lions. They beating the hell out of everybody.
I'm a huge advocate of make a bad team look bad. The Lions have done that this year.
Boy,
multiple times.
They make a bad team look like 1 AA. Okay,
they've been doing that to a lot of teams. They ain't just them. So
yeah, put them. Yeah, put them in 1.
They be curb stopping folks. So Lions 1, Bills 2. Number 3. Do you feel like the Steelers did enough to jump the Chiefs from 5 to 3? Do you feel like the Eagles did enough to jump the Chiefs from 6 to 3?
They got wins, but I don't know if they're above us. Got a respectable win.
Yeah,
shout out to Pittsburgh, it's a good win, but yeah.
The Steelers win I think it's a good win, but
all field, but they didn't score any touchdowns.
I kind of think that's more bad Ravens than it was good Steelers.
And they always make Lamar look bad, but their offense didn't do anything enough to make me think like, oh yeah, I'm like, bro, they didn't score a touchdown. So defense played amazing though, but they always give Lamar issues, like I said. So
okay, so I think we agree Chiefs 3. Yeah. And then do you guys want to have the Eagles or Steelers 5 or 4 or 5? How do you want to order those guys? To me, I think the Eagles are better, but I think the Steelers have had a better season. So
exactly, I'd say the same thing either way.
DJ, how you feel about it?
Yeah, I could put the Steelers at 4 and Eagles at 5. Okay. I still think they're pretty much neck and neck at this point. So.
I would like to apologize. I forgot that we put the Niners at number 10 on this list. Jesus Christ, they lost to the
Seahawks. And now we've been talking about the Seahawks, and they finally get a win. They beat the Niners. That's funny.
Yeah. So we had the Chargers 8 last week. Do we feel like they did enough to jump the Ravens falling back after the loss to the Steelers?
I don't think so.
It was a good win.
I didn't think so. I just wanted to ask.
The first half, yes, maybe you did, but then
they would have dominated the whole game. Yes.
I literally said on the pod on Sunday after the game, I was like, Jim Harbaugh being there, the Chargers won't Charger anymore. Boy, did they prove me wrong.
They Charger.
they almost did. As soon as I said that, they started charging. So
it was rapid too.
yeah,
It's in your DNA.
still like the Ravens. Lamar Jackson still, Derrick Henry
It's a
still
bad day
playing
in
at a
office
high
for
level.
Lamar,
Just
so.
bad day in the office for them. I feel like.
Yeah. So I'll say the Chargers move up a spot from 8 to 7 as well. We had the Cardinals at 9. They were on a bye week. I don't know if you want to move up to 8, or do you feel like there's another team you want to move to 8 instead? To me, I'm not ready to put the Broncos there necessarily. Packers won, the Vikings won. I don't know if I feel great about
Packers
either
won,
one
but
of
it took a
those
blocked
two.
field goal, so you're not really too much movement down here.
Right. The Vikings won, but it was extremely close versus another bad team.
And they shouldn't even, that's 2 weeks in a row they've been doing that. So it's like starting to show their true colors a little bit.
The Texans.
CJ Stroud and this offensive line and slow it though. See, they got to get this passing game figured out, man. It's like the inconsistencies of guys like missing throw, missed blocks, the misreads on touchdowns, and
I'd be
turn the
nervous
ball
to
over
see
too much.
what that game would have looked like without Joe Mixon.
That's a fact. Joe Mixon is the engine. And DMac, when we was in the chat, that's why I said that. He is the MVP of that football team. If he's not there, I don't know how many games the Texans win, if we're being honest, bro. Because ever since Nico went down and Diggs went down, he is getting 100 yards from scrimmage every week. That's with the bad offensive line. That's why I'm even more impressed, because that offensive line is not that good this year. I think they're like top 5 in the league in penalties. And yet Joe Mixon, like DG said, is running down the field all the time. And they're playing behind the sticks because they're not really making that many explosive plays with or without Nico. So, yeah, it's very
even though the Cardinals are on a bye week, I'm still kind of impressed by what they've done this entire season. So I feel comfortable putting them at 8 behind the Chargers as well. And I think I'll put the Texans 9 right now.
Probably pick the Chargers. I'll pick the Chargers.
It'd be an interesting game though.
The
Cardinals can run the ball.
Didn't they play?
The Chargers defense, they played already?
They did play, and the Cardinals won that game.
Okay.
Yeah. But it was early. It was
about
5 weeks
like
ago.
week 1, week 2.
It was an ugly game, but the
was
Cardinals did
like week 3, week 4. It was early in the year.
It was week 7 or week 6.
Oh, okay.
Week 7 or week 6.
Okay.
So it was a little bit later on in the season.
I gotta rewatch that game.
Yeah.
It was an ugly game. It was Monday night. It was a Monday night game. It was 2.
No, you know what it was?
Yeah,
I was wondering why, because I couldn't
that was
picture
on
the
ESPN+.
2 teams playing.
Yeah, that's why I didn't watch
that. That was on the second screen.
It was on ESPN+.
And that's why.
And then nobody had it. So I'm like, I'm not paying for that.
Nobody really saw that game.
Yeah, I'm not watching it.
It might as well have not happened.
Exactly, because did nobody see it?
Okay, so as far as leftover teams here, Packers, Vikings, Rams.
Give me the Rams.
Broncos, Packers, Vikings, Broncos, Rams would probably be the 4 that would be under consideration for the last spot.
I say Broncos.
Actually, or I will say the Commanders. I shouldn't take them out.
Oh yeah, they did that bye week.
Commanders, Packers, Broncos.
I know they lost. Yeah, they lost on Thursday night to the Eagles.
I just think the Broncos, to me, in my opinion, what they were able to come in here and do last week to us, especially with that defense. I think that defense is probably the most underrated defense in the NFL. Like, I don't think a lot of people are really talking about how well they're playing. And then you go out next week and they basically boat race.
Walked them.
Yeah, a Falcons team that's probably gonna end up winning the NFC South. Yeah, making the playoffs. So.
That's a good argument for the Broncos. The Packers did not seem impressive enough for me versus the Bears, and that was disappointing in my opinion. Again, we said the Vikings weren't all that impressive. I can't get there with the Rams right now yet. Obviously, the Falcons did not, to say the least. So I'm cool with the Broncos. I'm cool with the Broncos.
They teeth kicked in. I knew I had the Broncos winning that game, but not like that.
Yeah, I didn't think it would be that bad. But they certainly did. So that's going to be the Week 11 power rankings as well. Lions, Bills with the gold star, obviously, for winning the game of the week. Chiefs, Steelers, Eagles, Ravens, Chargers, Cardinals, Texans, and Broncos. And, I feel like the Paul Rudd meet, like, who would have thought that it would be us with the AFC West with 3 teams looking poised to make the AFC playoffs after all the hype that people gave the Dolphins and Jets and the Browns and Bengals. Who would have known?
Who would have thunk it?
Who would have known? So yeah, all that being said, I will say, just to wrap this up, because this has been kind of a little bit of a negative podcast in some respects. We're just gonna lay a team to rest. And I said that this is a team that needed to go on a run, needed to get its stuff together and act like a professional football team. And they tried to, but also the team that they were playing tried to give it away as well. Bengals, your season's over with. We're done. Don't need to talk about it anymore. Appreciate you guys for coming through. It was cute in week 2. You guys were replaying all of those 2021.
It gave you life.
AFC Championship games. Sayonara. We'll see you later. We don't have to worry about you anymore.
You didn't win. I'm sorry.
What was the record? I think they've went like 13-17 since the
I need to update that.
Yeah,
It's getting pretty ugly since
you
that
see
game.
y'all in Burrowhead.
After the Burrowhead game, it's been ugly since then for sure.
Yeah, after Burrowhead, it's been a downward slope since then. But credit to Joe Burrow and Jamar Chase. Those guys are balling this year. Outside of that team is trash. Trey Hendrickson, I'll give him his props too. He's had a good season.
Him and Jamar are having all-pro years, but the rest of the team is just so bad.
Like Trey Hendrickson having an all-pro year, Jamar Chase having an all-pro year, Joe Burrow having an all-pro year.
Yeah, it's definitely time to put them to rest. Your season is cooked.
And look, this is something I've talked about a lot. The rookie quarterback contract advantage is very key to take advantage of. And guess what? Once you pay that quarterback, that difficulty meter goes way up. If your front office isn't prepared to make the proper moves, money-wise, personnel-wise, on the margins, draft pick-wise, trade-wise, signing-wise, then you're going to have this type of season where your defense is terrible. You have some leaky things on offense. You don't have the depth ready to take advantage of those things. And guess what? Coaching staff isn't making up for those margins either to this point either. And that's a result where you can be looking up on all of a sudden and say, this is a key moment in your franchise's history. You tag T. Higgins because you thought you still had a chance to go and win a title.
Enjoy being a New England Patriot next year, buddy.
You should have got the value out of when you had a chance.
A contract in Cincinnati is cooked. Yeah, get your life. Yeah.
Sayonara. Sayonara.
Russ, we appreciate you for coming through the 2024 NFL season.
Yes.
See you next year.
Sayonara.
See you next year. Go ahead and get those mock drafts ready.
But get your life.
Absolutely. Peace out. So with that being said, Chiefs are moving on, obviously, to Carolina Panthers for Week 12. Excited to see what happens in Charlotte, man. Go out there, harass Bryce Young some. Appreciate you guys for tuning in. Obviously, we went over some tape. I promise you, one loss is not going to end the Chiefs season, no matter how much people want to crash out on Twitter for attention. It's a lot of fun.
It's a normal tradition. Now I know we're going to win. We had our yearly crash out. Now we're going to go on.
Yes, tradition like no other as well. So we'll be talking to you guys next week as well, prior to what will be the Black Friday game as well. DG, I appreciate you guys for coming through. DG and CJ as well. Pay attention, obviously, here at AM PM. We'll be back tomorrow night, 7:30 p.m. Central Standard Time. Kingdom Cast Thursday nights, 8 p.m. Central Standard Time as well. Pay attention as well. We'll have another post game for that Panthers game too. So appreciate you guys once again. For DMac, DG, and CJ, tell the truth. Peace out.
Peace.